Hello, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Lindsay and this is the Momlogs. So last Thursday, I posted a video where I went through my pantry, fridge, and freezer, and I made breakfast, lunches, and dinners for myself and my family. There's 4 of us. There's me, my husband, and our 2 kids who are 2 and 4. I did this in lieu of going grocery shopping. If you haven't seen that video, I'll go ahead and link it for you up in the cards as well as in the description box below so that you can check that one out and then come back over here. In that video, you'll see that I came up with 10 dinners, and I'm going to be showcasing 6 of those dinners in today's videos. I made notes every night when I was making dinner just so that I could come back and tell you all about what I did and show you a little bit of how I made them and what they looked like when I was done, so that you can kind of get a better idea, a better feel for what I ate versus just seeing it written down on a piece of paper, just for a little bit more inspiration. I had so much positive feedback on my last video, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the kind comments. It really means a lot to me that I inspired so many of you to go through your kitchens and pull out what you had to come up with meals instead of running out to the grocery store every week and spending money on groceries when you don't even really need them. I think that it's just another way where you can make Weight Watchers or WW so sustainable for yourself and whatever mouths that you are feeding in your household. I'm going to go ahead and get into the video. After the video, I'm going to end it with what my pantry, fridge, and freezer look like currently. I do plan on going out just to get a few essentials, but I was able to come up with breakfast, lunch, and dinners for next week as well. I just needed a few staple items for us to get us through the week. So that is what I went ahead and did, because I just kind of convinced myself that I could do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk through all these meals. The first meal that you're gonna see is sushi, and I actually did do a little bit more of a cook with me video just because it's not something that you will traditionally make in your kitchen, and I wanted to give a more detailed cook with me than just showing you what the finished product looked like, in case you're interested in making something similar for yourself. So I will go ahead and just give like a quick rundown of that meal, and then I'll cut away to last Sunday when we were making this meal. So for the sushi itself, I'm using cauliflower rice. I used 2 frozen bags. You could also just use a head of cauliflower if you have that, or if you want to pick that up from the store too. And then for the protein, I'm using salmon, and I had some frozen shrimp, green onion from my garden, and then I make a yum sauce, and I'll show you that. And then we're dipping into soy sauce. I will go ahead and show you all of that footage, and then I will see you back here for Monday night's dinner. I have my cooked cauliflower rice here. It's been cooling for a little bit. It needs to cool more before I put it on my nori, but I'm gonna go ahead, and while it's still a little bit warm, I am going to put on my cream cheese. This is the Meyer brand whipped cream cheese. I'm going to start by using 21 grams or 2 tablespoons of this in my rice. I'm just gonna put it on my food scale and then zero out my food scale and take this out until it says 21. And then I'll mix this up and see if it's enough. My goal here is to make my rice sticky. All right. I think I'm gonna go ahead and do another 21 grams. It looks like it's pretty well incorporated. Next, I'm going to put in a teaspoon of rice wine vinegar. If you don't have any of this on hand, I wouldn't even worry about it. You could also use white vinegar if you wanted to. So just a teaspoon. Make sure that's nice and mixed up. And then I also have some green onion here, maybe like a tablespoon. I'm also going to be putting sliced green onion inside of the sushi. All right, so here's what our sushi rice looks like. This is, again, just this cauliflower rice, so it'll be 0 points except for the cream cheese. The points will vary on that, of course, depending on which cream cheese you use. Here's what I've got for the rest of my veggies and protein. So I have some julienne carrots, I've got cucumber, I have the green onions, and I've chopped up my shrimp, and then I kind of shredded up my salmon and mixed it up with the G Hughes sugar-free teriyaki sauce. So everything on this plate is 0 points on blue. And then you can calculate your points just depending on what you eat and on your sushi and the points for the plan that you're on. You could just do veggie sushi, you could do like sweet potatoes, you could do like tempura shrimp if you wanted to, or even avocado. We're just not huge avocado fans in our house, so I'm gonna skip on that. All right, so for a dipping sauce or like a topping sauce for the sushi, I always make my own yum yum sauce. So what I use is some light mayo. I use the Heinz no sugar added ketchup. I use Sriracha and garlic powder. I don't have exact measurements for this. I would say equal parts mayo and ketchup, and then these two are going to be to your own personal taste, how spicy you like it and how garlicky you want it. So I'll just go ahead and do this really quick just so you can see how I do it. And I usually make extra because my husband likes it on like breakfast sandwiches and stuff. And I'll usually only have like a tablespoon of this when we do sushi, and then I'll either have like coconut aminos or soy sauce mostly. There's that. I would say we like our food moderately spicy, so I'm just gonna do like a thin layer on top of the Sriracha. And then same with the garlic powder, I'm just coating the top. And then I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up, and it should end up to be like a pinkish color. Pinky orange, like that. And then I have a lid for this container, so I'm just gonna put a cover on this and pop it in the fridge, and we'll use it when we go to eat dinner. So now here comes the fun part. This is the nori that I'm gonna use. This is, if you're unfamiliar, the wrap that you see either on the inside or the outside of your sushi roll, depending on how you're rolling it. I do find it way, way easier to put the rice on the inside of the nori, especially when you're starting out and if you don't have a sushi rolling mat, which I don't have. So this is 0 points on all plans. The only ingredient is organic seaweed. 5 calories a sheet. So you always want to make sure that your shiny side of your nori is face down. That way when you roll it, you see the shiny side. And then this side, I don't know if you'll be able to tell on camera, but it's kind of rough. It's rougher. I've got my rice here, or my cauliflower rice, and all of my fillings here, and then I also have a little dish of water, and you'll see what we'll use that for in just a second. So I'm just gonna start by spreading out a very thin layer of the cauliflower on here, and I'm gonna go about 3/4 of the way up on my nori sheet. You wanna leave a little bit of space up here on the end. If you don't let your cauliflower rice or regular rice cool, it's gonna like crinkle up your nori sheet. It's very fragile. So you wanna make sure it's at least at room temperature. It's easiest to work with when it's at room temperature. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put my fillings in. I'll do a shrimp one to start, and you wanna just do it in a line about 1/4 of the way up. I'll do a green onion. It doesn't want to stay. I'll do some carrot. This is a great recipe for the summertime because it doesn't really heat up your kitchen at all, and you don't eat it hot. And then that's cucumber. So I've got dry fingers here, and I'm just gonna take it and kind of hold everything here while I push up and over. Just take your time and be really gentle and roll, roll, roll. And then once you get to the part where you can't see any rice here, dip your fingers in the water and kind of get the very edge wet. And this is gonna help the nori stick to itself. And then you can finish. If you lose anything, it's okay, just put it back in. And there is your sushi roll. My recommendation for cutting your sushi is to make sure you have a really, really sharp knife. So I have a sharpener, a manual sharpener in my knife block, so I'm just gonna give it a little sharpen here. And then I'm also gonna just get a paper towel. Sometimes the rice gets like goopy on your knife, so it's nice just to be able to wipe it off. So to cut it, I go in the middle, and it's easiest to do like a little sawing motion. And then I go in the middle of the cut in half piece. And then I go in the middle of that. And there's what that one looks like. Pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Just be patient with yourself and be super gentle. So on Monday, I made chicken parm. This is a recipe that I got from Mindy over at See Mindy Mom. And it's so easy, and I've shown it on my channel before. I just took the Sam's Choice tomato and mascarpone sauce. You can use whatever sauce you have or whatever sauce you want. You can make your own. Skinnyish dish has a really, really good homemade pasta sauce that is 0 points if you're looking for something like that. But this is just what I had on hand. So that's the sauce that I use, and then you put the sauce and chicken breasts into your crock pot, let it cook all day. Your house is gonna smell amazing. And once your chicken is done in the crock pot, you pull it out and you shred it. You can use a fork. I like to use my KitchenAid stand mixer. You just put the paddle attachment on and just let it do the work for you. Your chicken will come out perfectly shredded. This is a tip that I got from Jordan Page. So that was Monday night's dinner. And I had intended to put mushrooms in my sauce, but my mushrooms went bad. They didn't last until Monday. That's fine. I had very, very, very little food waste this week, and we just had regular pasta noodles. And then on the side, I just used up a can of green beans that I had. I would typically make a side salad, but obviously I wasn't going out to the store to get fresh lettuce, and I had a very limited amount of iceberg lettuce to use throughout the week, so I just opted for a different side. And it was just fine. On Tuesday night, we had chicken enchiladas. And for this, I used the Olay Extreme Wellness Wraps. I used a can of enchilada sauce that I had in my pantry, and chicken and shredded cheese. I did have some dry beans that I had downstairs in like my pantry overflow area, and I had never made beans before, but I looked on Pinterest and I found a pretty decent recipe, and I can link that down below. I didn't know if I was gonna have enough time to cook my beans because of the way that the recipe was worded. You had to like soak them and then for 8 hours and then put them in the crock pot for 8 hours, but I just put them dry in my crock pot with and I covered them to maybe like 2 inches above the beans with water. I put my spices in and they cooked in like 3 hours on low. I was amazed. Normally you would do pinto beans for this recipe, but I did not have pinto beans. I had just like white cannellini beans or navy beans, and they were just fine. You would never even know that they were white beans instead of pinto beans, and I put those in the burritos. I also cooked my chicken in the crock pot. I just do the desired amount of chicken with maybe like 1 cup of salsa, and then I just cooked it in the crock pot, and then I shredded up the same way as I did the Parmesan chicken. I wrapped them up like burrito style. I laid them in my casserole dish, covered it with a set amount of enchilada sauce to reach the desired points that I wanted for WW. I had pre-portioned cheese and I just threw them in the oven. I baked those enchiladas or burritos at 425 for 25 minutes, and then they came out once your sauce is bubbling and your cheese is melted. That should be a good indication of whether or not they're warmed through. On Wednesday, we had a really simple dinner. We had grilled chicken with the garlic Parmesan wing sauce. I think this time I was using the Meyer brand. It's originally like a BW3's wing sauce. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, so if you don't like spicy, you might not like this sauce, but you can use any sauce you want. You can use honey mustard, you can use barbecue sauce, anything you want. Just regular buffalo wing sauce. And then we also had mixed vegetables and air fried butternut squash, and that night I also had the Rhodes yeast dinner rolls, which were left over I think from the holidays, but they're good for like a year because they're frozen. So I just pull them out in the morning, let them rise all day, and then I throw them in the oven. So that is another thing that I really need to get used up. On Thursday night, we had tuna noodle casserole. So for this, I used those roasted garlic Carba-Nada noodles. I used a can of cream of mushroom soup. I used 2 cans of tuna canned in water, a half a cup of milk, a can of peas, and then breadcrumbs. This turned out really good, and then we actually had enough to have it for leftovers. Our last dinner that I'm gonna be showing you is tacos. I used crunchy taco shells. I just always heat those up in my toaster oven so I don't have to heat up my entire kitchen with my oven. I used plain non-fat Greek yogurt, the Clancy's cheese dip sauce, the Boca grounds, which is like a vegan ground beef. I had some salsa. I chopped up some iceberg lettuce, and then I had some white beans left over from my enchilada night. So I just went ahead and threw those in my food processor to make them, to take them from whole beans to like a refried style beans. I put a little bit more spices in there, and they turned out really, really good. Super creamy, and I think that I'll probably just do it like this from now on with dry beans, whatever kind of beans I happen to have on hand, because they turned out so good, so much flavor, and cheaper too, which is a win-win in my book. So those are all of the dinners that I have for you. I think I will show you some of the recipes that I'm making this week. Instead of making a dedicated video, I will just go ahead and show some stuff on my Instagram stories, and I'll save those to my dinner highlights. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I will pop my handle up here so that you can go over there and follow me if you have an IG account. I will go ahead and show you what my pantry, fridge, and freezer look like after this past week. And if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, don't forget to click the subscribe button. I will see you next time. Bye.